Have you ever masked your seething rage behind a veneer of civility, like Marie Antoinette whispering defiance amid Versailles gilded cages, where the sweet aroma of apple pie conceals the sour bite of unspoken vendettas, and the gentle brush of a kiss ignites a firestorm of conflicted loyalties, challenging the very core of your identity? May I ask for one final thing? Episode 3 plunges deeper into that vortex of restrained fury and budding alliances, where the distant rumble of political machinations echoes like thunder over ancient battlements, the cool grip of a whip in your hand foreshadowing a philosophical reckoning between justice's restraint and vengeance's unleash. Aired on October 18, 2025, this installment escalates the arc of Scarlett's crusade against noble corruption, bridging the fallout from prior confrontations to shadowy infiltrations and intimate revelations. I personally was struck by its intoxicating fusion of tension and tenderness, a narrative that transports you to a dimly lit office thick with intrigue, the metallic tang of blood lingering in the air like a harbinger of upheaval, yet it dangles enigmas without resolution, leaving you to feel the weight of unspoken pacts on your shoulders. But what if one feigned submission unlocks a cascade of truths? Don't you ache to infiltrate those shadowed dealings yourself, heart racing, to discover if innocence's veil can withstand corruption's storm? Episode 3 thrusts Scarlett into the underbelly of imperial vice, akin to a Victorian-era exposé of societal rot like in The Picture of Dorian Gray, where negotiations for entry into forbidden circles mirror high-stakes gambits at Monte Carlo's roulette tables. Building on the previous episode's ballroom brawl and assassination attempt, where Scarlett's unyielding punch redefined her fate, this chapter transitions to covert operations, blending reconnaissance with personal interludes that expose vulnerabilities amid escalating threats. Picture yourself in an opulent merchant's corner, the flaky warmth of pie crumbling in your fingers, conversations laced with subtext like whispers in a confessional. Yet alliances form and fractures appear, hinting at broader conspiracies. What concealed arsenal does Scarlett deploy against these shadows? The episode teases that mystery, suspense building like a coiled spring, compelling you to witness if one calculated risk can dismantle an empire of deceit. Episode 3 accelerates the narrative's momentum by shifting from overt confrontations to intricate espionage, advancing Scarlett's quest to dismantle corruption through a daring infiltration ploy that unveils alliances with foreign powers and introduces modern anachronisms like firearms in a fantasy realm. Key revelations center on familial bonds and antagonistic schemes, culminating in a cliffhanger that teases aerial threats and punitive pursuits, while a visceral skirmish serves as a pivotal twist, reaffirming Scarlett's physical dominance. Pacing masterfully balances leisurely interpersonal moments with abrupt action surges, achieving dramatic equilibrium that heightens emotional investment without fatigue. Fans frequently question cloudy aspects such as Prince Julius's ambiguous affections, why the cheek kiss amid teasing, and the abrupt introduction of a gun, pondering its narrative fit in a magic-infused world. Referencing Light Novel Volume 1, Julius's gesture stems from a complex admiration rooted in Scarlett's resilience against his brother's bullying, distinguishing it from romance as a mark of profound kinship. The gun, gifted by Terranetza, symbolizes escalating stakes, drawing from the novel's blend of fantasy and proto-industrial elements to foreshadow technological disruptions in noble warfare. This context illuminates the anime's adaptation, transforming perceived abruptness into deliberate foreshadowing for Volume 1's climax, where such innovations challenge traditional power structures, delivering a layered progression that enriches the segment's intrigue. Scarlett radiates psychological complexity, her hidden wounds, suppressed fury from enduring noble slights, echoing the quiet rebellions of figures like Elizabeth I navigating treacherous courts, motivating a nuanced growth from impulsive avenger to strategic operative, her choices consistent in protective instincts yet surprising in moments of restraint. Julius unveils deeper motivations through vulnerable confessions, his dialogues transformative in shifting from jest to sincerity. Nanicus' resilience adds emotional depth, his beastkin heritage revealing scars of discrimination. Were these consistent? Absolutely, yet surprising in how Scarlett's potential autism, hinted through social navigation struggles, fosters transformative empathy, peeling layers like an onion in a confessional tale. Profound queries surface. What if justice demands piercing societal masks, akin to Plato's cave dwellers confronting illusions, where morality teeters between restraint and righteous violence? Themes manifest in Scarlett's infiltrations, her negotiated resolution questions sacrifices bounds, balancing despair's isolation with hope's alliances amid corruption's grip, echoing existential dilemmas in Camus the Rebel. World-building expands with slave trade lore and foreign empires, enriching the universe's hierarchical tensions without overload, complicating loyalties like in feudal histories. The script crackles with sharp wit, poetic in its irony. Lines of feigned deference carry the sting of Wilde's epigrams, foreshadowing upheavals while lingering like whispers in in a shadowed alcove. Impactful and free of cliches, dialogues evoke the charged exchanges of dangerous liaisons, as if you're eavesdropping in that tense office, words heavy with double entendre. Doesn't their subtlety fuel a curiosity that demands you linger? Animation from Leiden Films pulses with dynamic flair, art direction contrasting lavish merchant hues with stark office shadows, where lighting fractures to symbolize inner turmoil, not mere elegance, but a visual allegory for concealed rage. Stillness in negotiations erupts into fluid motion in punches, shaping cathartic release. Direction wields close-up angles to capture Scarlett's inexpressive intensity, compositions framing kisses like intimate portraits, editing rhythms surging to amplify emotional peaks. The soundtrack haunts as a sly accomplice, motifs of lilting strings elevating flirtations, crescendos searing impacts into memory, silences post-kiss thundering louder than accusations. Voice acting excels. Miyu Tomida's Scarlett conveys with stoic tremor, embodying a soul's veiled storm. Taito Band's Julius infuses playful intensity, his timbre a teasing velvet that captivates. This episode evoked a heady rush of satisfaction mingled with tender ache, sparking wonder at vulnerability's spark while scarring with injustice's bite, like witnessing the Velvet Revolution's quiet ignitions, moments of connection etching deep. The pivotal clash erupts as destinies entangle, a breaking point where facades crack into empowerment, shifting alliances irrevocably, reminiscent of the balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet fraught with forbidden warmth. It ties to timeless echoes. How do we forge bonds amid betrayal's ruins, like bridges over turbulent seas? I felt the pie's flaky sweetness on my tongue, the echo of a protective cry in my ears, carrying Scarlet's scars as my own. Reader, haven't you savored restraint's tension, wounds of unspoken reprisals begging catharsis? Through reverse reading, potential flaws like frenetic pacing in action, echoing fan qualms over abrupt shifts, reframe as deliberate bursts, mirroring the novel's punchline humor to heighten thematic irony. Opacity in Julius's affections invites interpretation, a stylistic choice fostering emotional depth. Complexity in lore might bewilder, yet it enriches immersion. I didn't like occasional static dialogues, but they underscore subtext simmer. Balanced, the episode's vibrancy overshadows minor rushes, crafting a compelling tapestry. Episode 3 shines in thematic audacity, character nuance, and visual dynamism, though swift transitions temper flow, succeeding as a riveting escalation, fusing romance with retribution in artistic grace. I anticipate its schemes unraveling like silken threads. But as whispers of a final plea dissolve into night's embrace, can you evade Scarlett's call, sensing your own veiled storms brew? Watching isn't mere choice. It's the inexorable release of your pent fury, where one request awakens your untamed path. What if the mask you wear, crafted from borrowed lives and divine whims, shatters under the weight of your own deceptions, echoing the fractured identities of spies in the Cold War shadows or the exiled poets of ancient Rome, where every verse carried the bitter tang of displacement and the chill of unearthed truths? In episode 4 of May I Ask for One Final Thing, released on October 17, 2025, we descend into the underbelly of noble corruption, mere shadows after the previous installment's simmering alliances and exposed vendettas. Feel the damp stone of hidden chambers pressing against your palms, the acrid smoke of illicit auctions stinging your nostrils, as Scarlett navigates a labyrinth of betrayal, not merely vengeful, but unraveling, like a thread pulled from history's tapestry. This chapter pulses with escalating peril, yet veils its deepest cuts. What otherworldly forces puppeteer the throne's fragile strings, and how might they redefine the essence of self? You're there, hearing the distant cries muffled by opulent walls, tasting the metallic edge of impending chaos. Yet the core revelation? It lurks like a whisper in the dark, compelling you to illuminate it, to step into the fray and grasp the enigma that defies mere telling, flowing from episode 3's tense infiltrations, where Scarlett's path intertwined with royal schemes and sibling bonds amid whispers of larger conspiracies. This episode plunges into the heart of a clandestine auction, akin to the shadowy dealings in The Great Gatsby's bootleg empires or a Prohibition-era raid, where glamour masks moral decay. Scarlett, allied with unexpected figures, storms the den of depravity, confronting guards and nobles in a whirlwind of fists and revelations, much like a revolutionary in Les Miserables breaching the barricades. Bonds strain and reform in the heat of battle, culminating in a breathless pursuit that exposes hidden patrons and ends on a disclosure that reframes alliances. But why does a foreign warrior intercede with bizarre persistence, and what confession shatters the facade of a familiar foe? The suspense coils tighter, drawing you into the auction's suffocating haze, where chains rattle and secrets gleam like forbidden jewels, igniting an insatiable urge to witness the unraveling, to stand amid the tumult and seize the answers that hover just beyond reach. The plot catapults forward from personal vendettas to imperial intrigue, advancing the narrative by unmasking a web of slavery, corruption, and cross-kingdom machinations, reminiscent of Machiavelli's princely plots turned visceral. Revelations cascade. A royal artifact neutralizes magic, divine blessings grant invulnerability, and a climactic confession ties the antagonist to cosmic origins. Twists that pivot the story toward genre-blending horizons, ending on a cliffhanger alliance betrayal that dangles future wars. Pacing surges with frenetic energy, balanced by moments of strategic breath. No erratic lurches but a symphonic rise akin to a thriller's mounting crescendo. Dramatic harmony prevails, comedic brawls offsetting the auction's grim undercurrents, though the episode's action-dense core echoes the relentless drive of ancient gladiatorial spectacles, clarifying fan-muddled, cloudy aspects. Why Terranetz's schemes feel unnaturally prescient. How does Scarlet overpower seemingly invincible foes? The light novel source, Volume 1, aligning with this arc's revelations, elucidates. Terranetz's reincarnation via goddess intervention infuses her with otherworldly cunning, a deliberate Isekai inversion where the transmigrated villain manipulates prophecies for power. Alflame's unyielding body stems from the god of steel's blessing, a lore staple that the manga, chapters 4 to 6, per thematic parallels in auction raids and proposals, expands, revealing such endowments as double-edged, impervious to harm yet vulnerable to internal torment, like Scarlet's knee strikes inducing nausea. This context demystifies the animation's ambiguities, layering the segment with foreshadowed depth. Divine favors complicate morality, hinting at broader theological conflicts ahead. Characters fracture and forge anew, their psyches as layered as Dostoevsky's tormented souls in Crime and Punishment. Scarlet deepens into a whirlwind of controlled chaos, her motivations blending familial duty with raw exhilaration. Choices transformative as she vows personal loyalty to Prince Lucius, surprising in their vulnerability, yet consistent with her evolving trust, shedding isolation for collaborative fury. Lucius reveals calculated depths, his ring-wielding authority a mask over possessive ambitions. Leonardo's clairvoyance exposes brotherly protectiveness laced with shock at her brutality. Alflame, the vanquished prince, bursts forth as a comically persistent suitor, his invulnerability hiding masochistic glee, growth manifesting in relentless proposals that surprise with their sincerity. Terranetz's shadow looms larger through revelations, her hidden wounds of displacement fueling manipulative growth. Sigurd's swordplay adds stoic reliability, his interventions consistent yet hinting at unspoken loyalties. Each arc a crucible, like warriors in the Iliad grappling with fate's whims. Philosophically, the episode interrogates identity's fluidity, power not as birthright but borrowed essence, manifesting in Scarlet's gloved assaults against systemic rot, questioning if survival demands moral compromise, as slaves' cries echo the despair of chained Prometheus defying gods. Sacrifice clashes with hope in vows of fealty, despair in auction horrors yielding to defiant punches that affirm self amid chaos. World-building blooms with divine blessings and royal artifacts, enriching the universe like artifacts in Indiana Jones' tales. New lore on goddess reincarnations complicates geopolitics, weaving Isekai threads into a tapestry of imperial rivalries and ethical quagmires. Dialogue crackles with wit and weight, sharp as a duelist's riposte yet infused with poetic absurdity. Lines on marital proposals amid brawls resonate like Shakespeare's comic interludes in tragedies, foreshadowing harem, entanglements, and lingering as echoes of empowerment. In the auction's dimly lit halls, words carry the stale reek of desperation, immersing you. Hear the noble's panicked pleas slicing the air like daggers in a Tudor court. Feel Lucius's commanding timbre vibrating in your chest as he demands oaths. What vow would you swear in Scarlet's gloves, facing the abyss of borrowed destinies? This verbal ballet amplifies suspense, each quip a snare, fueling curiosity. Will these confessions ignite alliances or incinerate them, urging you to plunge in and unearth the symphony's next movement? Animation surges with dynamic flair, art direction blending opulent golds and shadowy blues to symbolize corrupted splendor, much like the gilded decay in the picture of Dorian Gray. Fluidity shines in Scarlet spins, creating tornado visuals. Symbolism thrives in crimson blood against pale skin, stillness in tense standoffs contrasting explosive movements, where beauty embodies resilience's savage grace. Not ornament, but the fierce allure of unbroken will. Direction captures chaos through swirling pans during brawls, close-ups amplifying facial tremors, editing rhythms syncing with orchestral swells to heighten tension. Quick cuts mirror punch impacts, slow reveals underscore revelations. The soundtrack emerges as a playful antagonist, its motifs, orchestral flourishes syncing with Scarlet's dance, haunting combats and elevating humor, searing into memory like Bernard Herrmann's psycho-stabs. Crescendos punctuate proposals, while silence thunders in confession's wake, louder than roars, underscoring existential existential voids. Voice acting incarnates turmoil. Asami Sito's Scarlet delivers with gleeful intensity, her timbre trembling with manic joy. Lucius's VA infuses regal tremor, Alflame's with persistent fervor. Their deliveries weave you into the melee, as if the laughter echoes in your throat. Emotionally, this episode carves a riotous scar of exhilaration, sparks of wonder at genre-defying twists. Imagine the adrenaline surging through your veins as bodies fly, akin to the chaotic glee in One Punch Man's over the top battles, or the awe of uncovering hidden worlds in historical discoveries. Pivotal unmaskings collide like fates in a cosmic farce, a rupture where realities blend and paradigms shatter irrevocably, provoking, what fragments of other lives do we carry, and what fury awakens when they surface? I felt a visceral thrill at Scarlet's unhinged ballet, a pang for the slave's silenced cries, echoes that stir the soul like unresolved revolutions. Yet, reversing the lens, seeming flaws unveil artistry. The breakneck pacing, critiqued as overwhelming, mirrors thematic frenzy, a stylistic echo of life's abrupt betrayals, like flashpoints in uprisings. Complexity in blessings and reincarnations may opacity for newcomers, but reframes as deliberate depth, rewarding immersion. Occasional trope nods, persistent suitors, temper freshness, though balanced by the episode's comedic authenticity and visual innovation. In summation, episode 4 excels in uproarious action and revelatory twists, its minor density surges outshone by masterful genre